Hurricane Matthew leaves more than 100 people dead in Haiti. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, October 6. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. The death toll is still rising, but Thursday, officials in Haiti confirmed that at least 108 people were killed when Hurricane Matthew delivered a catastrophic blow to the country earlier this week. Most of the fatalities were in towns and fishing villages around Haiti's southern peninsula, with many killed by fallen trees, flying debris and swollen rivers. The storm had passed directly through the peninsula, driving the sea inland and flattening homes with strong winds and torrential rain on Monday and Tuesday. President Jocelyn Prévost Thursday described the situation as catastrophic. More than 28,000 houses have been confirmed damaged so far. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said that across the country about 350,000 people are in immediate need of humanitarian help. But that number may rise as assessments coming from areas with limited communication and access. The department on Haiti's southern peninsula remains mostly cut off from communication, with the worst damage reported from the port of Salute west to Da-Marie. Vital crops have also been devastated. In the biggest banana growing region in Haiti, approximately 80% of banana crops were destroyed by winds and flooding. The assessment continues as relief begins, and the Haitian government says it will take charge of the reconstruction. A ministerial commission has been set up to coordinate the aid. And the Category 4 Hurricane Matthew continues to hammer the Bahamas. At 5 p.m., the eye of what the National Hurricane Center in Miami described as an extremely dangerous hurricane with maximum sustained winds near 140 miles per hour was about to hit Freeport. It was about 25 miles southeast of Freeport, Grand Bahama Island, and heading towards the northwest at 13 miles per hour. The government of Bahamas has discontinued the hurricane warning for the central Bahamas, but a hurricane warning is still in effect for the northwestern Bahamas, including the Abacus, Andros Islands, Berry Islands, Bimini, Eleuthera, Grand Bahama, and New Providence. Emergency Management Authorities said earlier that Hurricane Matthew brought down trees and power lines. Head of the Bahamas National Emergency Management Authority, Captain Stephen Russell, said the capital, Nassau, got the full brunt of the hurricane Thursday morning. Forecasters say a storm surge of 10 to 15 feet, compounded by up to 15 inches of rainfall, could cause life-threatening water rises in the Bahamas as Matthew continues to pound the archipelago. And battering waves riding atop that surge will only compound the damage potential. A similar storm surge was witnessed during Hurricane Joaquin almost exactly 1 year ago. But this time, forecasters say it may occur over the entire island chain rather than just central and southeast Bahamas. The eye of Matthew should move close to or over the coast of the Florida Peninsula through Friday night. And the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, says it will be providing an initial $1.5 million to assist countries affected by Hurricane Matthew. $1 million will go towards food, while the other $500,000 will be used for non-food items such as shelter, blankets, hygiene kits, household items, and water purification equipment. USAID says if there are further needs, it's prepared to deploy more commodities and more relief supplies from Florida and potentially Italy if required. Meanwhile, Special Coordinator for Haiti and the State Department's Deputy Assistant Secretary Kenneth Mertens said the U.S. continues to work with the Haitian government to assess the extent of damage in Haiti and prioritize humanitarian cleanup needs. That's the United Nations emergency response teams, have been deployed to Haiti and Jamaica to coordinate rapid assessments and support disaster response. And what was Tropical Storm Nicole up to Thursday afternoon is now a Category 1 hurricane. Nicole is heading in the general direction of Bermuda. The Bermuda Weather Service says Nicole has been meandering since forming on Tuesday and was about 345 miles south of the island at 5 p.m. The hurricane is carrying maximum sustained winds of 80 miles per hour and moving to the northwest at 8 miles per hour. The Bermuda Weather Service says Nicole is a potential threat to Bermuda. Swells associated with Nicole, along with rough surf conditions, are expected to affect the island for the next several days. The National Hurricane Center says some additional strengthening is likely over the next day or so, following by slow weakening. Nicole was Thursday evening located several hundred miles east of Hurricane Matthew. Over in Trinidad and Tobago, sudden heavy showers caused flash floods in the capital city on Thursday. Lightning strikes have knocked out electricity supply in parts of San Fernando as well. Most of the flooding is being blamed on garbage blocking drains, and police are reporting that a man was swept into the East Dry River in Port of Spain. A rescue attempt has been mounted. Meanwhile, 4 firemen are being treated at a medical facility after they were injured while assisting citizens distressed by floodwaters in Barataria. They were hurt after coming into contact with a high-tension electricity line. The men were trying to rescue people from a maxi-taxi stranded in floodwaters. The Met Office is advising citizens, particularly in flood-prone areas, to be on the alert. And still in the Twin Island Republic, fishermen in the community of Cedros are threatening to take state-owned oil company Petrotrin to court if they are not compensated for loss of work in the aftermath of the August 3rd oil spill. The fishermen say Petrotrin must not be allowed to treat the ocean like its property. Akaras Samaru of CNC3 News has the details of that story.
It's been 63 days since Petrotrin's August 3rd oil spill along the southern peninsula. And to date, Cedros fishermen say,
you call them to have a meeting, to discuss it. They refuse to meet with you, okay? They keep putting you off, okay?
The fishermen say only one group in Fullerton was offered compensation, but they've not received word from Petrotrin. They have hired a lawyer to fight their case, saying that they want between $950 to $2,400 a day, after having lost 5 days of work due to the spill. They say they were told to wait for the toxicity tests on the fish in the Gulf.
Our scenario was not a fish kill. Our scenario emerged from an oil spill. It was not like Labre, it was not like Otahiti. So, I mean, you know, we realized that they're playing games with us.
The fishermen say the oil spills are becoming too frequent and Petrotrin is treating the ocean like its own property.
Their whole scenario starts from Brighton all the way to past Icacos. That's about a 35-40 mile spread, you know, almost square. And that is where we have been driven off, and we are forced to go more and more into Venezuela.
But Petrotrin tells CNC3 that it did meet with the fishing group on August 7th, 10th, and the 12th. It says assessment of boats has been undertaken and the merit of each claim is currently being evaluated. Petrotrin says communication is ongoing.
Guyana has appealed for international help as its defense force probes reports of illegal fights by aircraft from neighboring Venezuela. Foreign Affairs Minister Carl Greenidge told Parliament on Wednesday that a complaint has also been made to outgoing United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. According to reports out of the Venezuelan capital of Caracas, aerial operations are being done to map out the Essequibo region of Guyana for a new Venezuelan atlas. Greenidge told reporters that the Guyana Defense Force has been tasked with defining this latest aggression, which violates international law. And ahead in Caribbean Newsline, a deadly terror attack remembered in the Caribbean. The details when we return. Stay.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
Moto 2 for the Sport GP class is on the line, and we're racing. It's Sam Nemi out front with Kelly Smith hot on his wake. Nemi's been hot all season, and there's really no stopping him. Coming out of the split, Keith Dill doesn't have enough horses in the tank to pass Smith for second. It's a tight battle for first, as Matsuris and Josh Block trade a little paint. It's Block, Matsuris, Jimmy Wilson, and David Redding are out front.
Today marks 40 years since Cubana Airlines Flight 455 was downed off the coast of Barbados. All 73 people were killed when 2 bombs on board the plane exploded. Family and friends of the deceased have vowed to continue to campaign for the perpetrators to be brought to justice. As part of the observance of the anniversary, the International Network in Defense of Humanity launched a campaign for October 6th to be declared International Day Against Terrorism. Barbadian attorney and social activist David Commission heads the Caribbean chapter of the network. Now addressing a panel discussion at the UWI Cavell campus on Wednesday night, he explained the significance of the date.
The 6th of October says that terrorism, whether it is committed by ISIS or Boko Haram or some little ragtag terrorist operation, is just as bad and just as evil if it is committed by men and women who sit in suits in air-conditioned offices in the Oval Office in the White House in Washington, D.C., or in London, or in Paris, or wherever else they may be located.
And St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said he has already presented the petition to his CARICOM colleagues.
I sent off to the rest of the CARICOM, all the leaders in CARICOM, and to the CARICOM Secretary General, support for this proposal, and we must put it within the CARICOM system so we can begin to agitate for it at the CARICOM level and to take this battle to the United Nations. I hear what my brother said, he's quite correct. My comrade says that we'll have to fight. Why October the 6th? It would be. And they would raise all sort of obtuse arguments.
Now, Wednesday's discussion focused on the origins of terrorism before and beyond 9/11. Organizers said the bombing was the first major act of terrorism on Caribbean soil. Actor and social activist Danny Glover told the audience that when discussing terrorism, it is important to examine from whose perspective it is being defined.
When it comes to the defense of our humanity, when it comes to the defense of our lives, the definition of terrorism often excludes us from the equation. It often discounts our own history and segues our history in such a way that often we lose sight of our own historic memory as well.
The Commonwealth is very concerned about the impact on the Caribbean of the impending de-risking by some U.S. banks. Speaking to CMC News just days before a Commonwealth Finance Ministers meeting in Washington, Secretary General Baroness Patricia Scotland said her office will continue to seek ways to minimize the threat that such actions pose to the region.
Many of our citizens in the Caribbean and in the Pacific and elsewhere depend on remittances from their families abroad to be sent home. What are we going to do if those remittances can't be sent home as easily and as practically as we can? So what we here in the Commonwealth Secretariat are worrying about is how can we make some of the problems and the challenges easier.
The Commonwealth Finance Ministers' meeting was held Thursday at the headquarters of the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C. One member of the Legislative Assembly in the Cayman Islands is taking issue with comments made by UK Overseas Territories Minister Baroness Anile on fighting same-sex discrimination on the island. On her first official visit as the UK's new Minister of Overseas Territories, Anile urged Cayman's lawmakers to consider legislation that protects gay and lesbian residents and visitors from discrimination. She said the matter is sensitive but important.
The British government has no plans, and I repeat, no plans, to impose same-sex marriage in the Cayman Islands. However, I also want to be clear that continued discrimination puts the Cayman Islands in breach of its international obligations. So there is a legal imperative to change.
But MLA MP Anthony Eden is denying that discrimination against the LGBT community exists in the Cayman Islands. He vows to fight for what he says are Cayman's traditional Christian values. Tammy Suleiman of Cayman 27 News tells us more.
The Cayman's lawmakers to take up legislation to protect gay and lesbian residents and visitors from discrimination. But Mr. Eden objected to her implied assertions.
What discrimination is she talking about? I've been here for over 7 decades, and I don't ever recall anyone being persecuted or prosecuted for anything.
Baroness Anile assured MLAs the UK would not impose same-sex marriages on Cayman, but she said Cayman must consider its international obligations. Mr. Eden says members of the gay and lesbian community have nothing to fear, but he says the status quo should be preserved.
How anyone from outside can expect the Caymanian people that has lived here and built these islands to the success we have to now turn around and change some of our legislation. It's not going to happen as long as I'm sitting here.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, West Indies off spinner Craig Brathwaite says the ODI series against Pakistan was a learning curve for him. Sport is next.
Now, Nelly, how are you enjoying Comic-Con so far?
Oh, I love all the people and all of the crowds. It's a lot of fun.
Now, it's a little warm today. How are you faring with that?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm a narwhal. I stay cool. I'm from the Arctic.
Well, speaking of staying cool, go check out the rest of Comic-Con, and we'll be back right here on Planet X.
We're here on Anna Maria Island at Coquina Beach on the Gulf of Mexico, just 45 minutes from Tampa Airport. It's considered to be one of the most beautiful white sand beaches in America. Today, it's home to the 2016 EVP Bradenton Pro-Am Tournament. And today's show is going to be jam-packed with hot volleyball action, and it'll kick off the summer of fun with me, your EVP Tour host, Tara Ray.
West Indies off spinner Craig Brathwaite says the just concluded one-day series against Pakistan has been a learning curve for him. The Barbadian was called up for international duty for the 3-match series in which the Caribbean side was handed another whitewash. In the final ODI, Brathwaite scored 32 from 44 balls, which was a much better individual total than the last 2 games. He says he wants to do better at the bat.
In perspective, no, we didn't play well. The series also we lost 3 games, but you learned a lot batting wise. Would have loved to score a bit more runs, but I learned a lot from the series, and just have to improve from here and grow from strength to strength.
Brathwaite says chasing Pakistan's huge totals in all 3 matches was not easy.
I think coming from the first game, the key was to obviously get accustomed to their bowlers, especially on these pitches. They didn't have any practice game or anything before here, so it was just about getting accustomed. And you know, it was a case where we chased in all 3 games, and in all 3 games it was a big total. So you know, you always start kind of behind the 8 ball, and you know, you have to keep at a certain run rate. So it wasn't easy, but you know, I learned a lot from that chasing side.
Staying with cricket, Rakeem Cornwall secured career best figures, but West Indies A was slumping towards a heavy defeat after suffering another dramatic batting collapse in the opening 4-day test against Sri Lanka in Colombo on Thursday. Trailing by 110 runs on first innings, the Caribbean side ended day 3 of the game at the Ketarama Stadium on 165 for 9, only 55 runs in front heading into Friday's final day. Left-hander Vishal Singh top scored again with 46, and tail-ender Gudakish Muti Kanhai chipped in with 34, while Captain Shamar Brooks got 28. But West Indies A struggled to put meaningful partnerships together. They were undermined by left-arm spinner Lakshkan Shakandan, who claimed 3 447. Seamers Asita Fernando and Asela Gunaratne, also with off-spinner Charith Asalanka, all supported with 2 wickets each. Earlier, Cornwall added 2 more wickets to his 6 from Wednesday to finish with 8 for 108 as Sri Lanka A, resuming on 348 for 8 were dismissed on 386. Gunaratne, unbeaten on 15 overnight, made 38. Over to football now. Curacao and Trinidad and Tobago registered wins in round 3 of the Caribbean Football Union Cup qualifiers on Wednesday. At Willemstad, Curacao dismissed Antigua and Barbuda 3-0 at the Ergido Hato Stadium. Defender Leandro Bacuna opened the scoring in the 12th minute, and they went into the half-time with a 1-0 lead. Striker Rangela Maria Janga extended Curaçao's lead in the 79th minute before winger Gino Van Kessel scored the 3rd item at sudden death. Meanwhile, the Dominican Republic was handed a 4-0 drubbing at the hands of the Soca Warriors at the Ato Boldon Stadium in Cuba. 3 goals from Kevin Molino was a pleasing effort by the midfielder, who is preparing for the crucial World Cup qualifiers. Molino added 2 close items in the 14th and 18th minutes of the game before midfielder Cordell Cato added TNT's 3rd goal in the 30th minute. Molino returned to score his hat-trick in the 60th minute. Despite that, Molino believes he and the rest of the team need to work harder.
Better as a team, you know. And my performance tonight, I could always get better. 3 goals was one part, but at times I think I give away the ball too much, and defensively I have to continue working harder. But overall, I think is good, and most important, the stage in the game is to win the game, and now we're looking forward to the next game.
Switching to rugby now, Guyana's national team is contesting the results of a recent game against Mexico. Both teams clashed in the Rugby America's North Championships over the weekend. Guyana lost to Mexico 32-3, but says there were some discrepancies. In this report, the president of the country's Rugby Association explained why Guyana is appealing the results.
The Guyana Rugby Union is considering appealing the results of the Rugby America's North Ranked Championship that was played in Mexico on Saturday. Guyana lost the game 32-3 to Mexico, but the victory came with many questions, according to President Peter Green, on arrival of the team back home yesterday.
It's a good experience, but when you're playing at a high level, you got to look for all these tricks. Right now, we're considering objecting to World Rugby, the playing conditions that we encountered on playing day. If you look at the video replays, you will see that Mexico actually had the goalpost on the dead ball line, and the try line was in the front, which was unheard of. So we did not get time to understand which part was the try line and which part was adjusted. They had come in on both sides. Now the argument that we would say, well, both teams had equal chances, is not true. The fact remains that the national team did not get a chance to warm up for 2 hours and understand the change in the layout of the ground. So what we have in here is that we were playing not knowing where the line was. Right, and you have the Mexicans training there every day. We've only been able to put in 2 days because of rainy weather when we arrived.
Green stated that the rules of the game are clearly written in the book.
Where you will find in the world of World Rugby, you will find a goalpost on the dead ball line. You follow the rules of rugby, if you're on the dead ball line, the ball is out of play. And the goalpost is on the dead ball line. So we just could not adapt at that time.
Looking forward, the president stated that the union will be regrouping its pool of players as they look to develop the game locally.
And the track coaches from various clubs in the Cayman Islands are baffled over why their athletes can't participate in regional and international track and field events, even though they have qualified at national meets. They are questioning the Islands Athletic Association's process of selection and are calling for accountability in the association. Cayman 27's Kevin Morales has that story.
Told they're qualifying, but then they don't go.
Some of Cayman's track coaches say there are problems with the way the Cayman Islands Athletics Association selects athletes for international competitions. Mustang Track Club's Tyrone Yen says too many times in the past, athletes have qualified for meets like Island Games, the CUT Championships, or the NACAC Championships, but are not sent by the CIAA.
It's difficult to have, you know, a 10, 11-year-old child train all year with the expectation of making a team, the expectation of going places, and only to be told that, hey, look, you know, you have made the time, but you're not going.
Cayman 27 has obtained several emails sent to the sports ministry as well as the CIAA executive outlining the issue, which they say has been going on for years.
It is something that definitely needs to be looked at in the future. It has caused many athletes so far to have dropped out of the program.
Just this year, Mr. Yen says 4 athletes from his club qualified for, but were not sent to the CUT meet because of CIAA delays sending out results. Meanwhile, Ronald Forbes missed a chance to run at the World Indoor Championships. It appears the CIAA just forgot to get him registered.
It can devastate them. You know, we've actually seen it where athletes have had that happen to them and not turn up for training again.
That's exactly what Marlon Goddard didn't want to happen with his son.
It was so disappointing for me that I couldn't even tell my son that he made the time, because I know how disappointed he would be.
He says more care.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Miami Beach, one of the most beautiful and exciting cities in the world. And each year, DJ Irie and many sports stars and celebrities join together to give back to the Irie Foundation, helping young underprivileged youth throughout Miami Beach.
I told you I would be back. Last night we did it way big. Today we are doing it way meaningful.
Again, the major developments of this day. Officials in Haiti confirm at least 108 people were killed when Hurricane Matthew delivered a catastrophic blow to the country, but the death toll is expected to rise as the assessment continues. And in sport, West Indies off-spinner Craig Brafford says the just concluded one-day series against Pakistan has been a learning curve. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to CanonNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. Have yourselves a good night.